You smell that, internet? That's arrogance telling you to put down your crack pipes and your beer bongs, and once again, mature with me to hail Caesar. This is a huge mega game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some slides, going to get into some video. The first slides are going to be of the general deployment and everything, and then there's going to be some slides throughout spliced in with the video throughout the game, because the game was so massive. I didn't think that 2,000 figures were going to show up to this game, but apparently they did. I mean, I brought like 200 myself, very close to it. I was at about 190 model count. Hayden had something like 140, and then there was just endless amounts of Romans. I can't even... I took so many pictures during the run of this game that, I mean, a lot of them were blurry, but, I edited it down to about 29 out of 80. And so there's going to be video and slides in this rattle report. And I'm going to really do the best I can because the game was so massive and we were on a time limit of, I think we finished playing at about 6, and we started immediately at 2. I think we played for 4 hours. It might have been 5 hours. I can't quite remember, but hope you enjoy. So right now I'm going down through the Roman lines. I'm going to get a little bit closer so you can see the Manipular Legion as I go through. I'm not even halfway through the table yet. There's just there's nothing but Romans. Just there's a yellow going into a blue. More Romans, more Romans going into green. We got green guys now. Keep going down. And this is just, now we're about the halfway mark to the table here, just to show you deployment for the Romans here. They've got a couple war elephants. Back right into the yellow Manipular Legion here. This one's probably the biggest one they've got out.
And they're the bravest.
They're are they the bravest?
The bravest.
All right.
Well, you have to compensate for the quality of the commander.
And then just trying to go down. And then it ends off with Numidian cavalry on their extreme right. So right about here is a generic still of the Roman legions. This is about their center, where the deployment is. This is where I was on the extreme left flank of the Greeks. So this is about where the Roman center is. I was. It started with the Red Legion. That's Legion 1. The Yellow Legion. That's Legion 2. And then finally Legion 3 is the Green Legion. I just included this still because I really like the green. Because my friend Chris paints his Romans with green shields. And so, I mean, this is massive. This is a massive fantasy battle system. Like that, there's a reason why units only have like 6 hit points before they're just ineffective on the battlefield, and it's because this game scales up to this kind of level. And they had 6 Roman legions on the table, not to mention 3 cavalry divisions. I could be mistaken, but tons of Romans, and so this is just one of the generic stills of Roman deployment. And then right in the middle of the Roman center lines, right after this still that I just took, there were the elephants that didn't do dick all game. Then it went into some blue dudes, another Manipular Legion, and then it went into some more yellow guys, and then finally it ended with Roman cavalry on the extreme right. Starting here, we have some Macedonian cavalry. 4 really large units of Macedonian cavalry. And then we got these guys, some peltasts, a big, huge unit of hoplites, more hoplites, and then we're starting in with the phalangite units. There's Hayden. Very big close-up shot of Hayden.
And you might want to shake those.
Going up, still more phalangites. Still more phalangites.
They're his.
And then we got our skirmishers out in front there. Right there. Right there. Phalangites, we are not. Now we're at the center of the table where you see there's a unit of hoplites right there. And then there's a unit of slingers. More phalangites. slingers,
I think we need music.
more phalangites.
I do too. I keep telling you, we got
We need to get a
And then we go into my forces over here.
Greek slingers and Roman
tank battle, we're probably gonna have more troops than actually.
And this is just the most massive table I've ever seen. I told you it'd be huge. We're almost to the end here.
Alright, so Macedonians do.
So this is a generic stock photograph of the Macedonian center. Tons of pike bricks, like they were all 8 wide and everything, and then Hayden was in the center just after my right flank supporters. And so you go down the lines, it's just nothing but hoplites and skirmishers, phalangites and skirmishers until you get to the extreme right, and that's where the Macedonian cavalry bricks are. And so this is a photograph of my general deployment area on the extreme left of the fighting table. So I'm just going to pan down the Macedonian lines as we move forward here.
Sneak in an extra man.
And it's
the Gary phase. I was
really hard here because there's just so many of us.
Hey, leave the French.
But this is where our cavalry ended up here on the extreme right.
Not mess with them.
Hey, I hear those are.
So right here, I've moved my forces up, as you can see, up to this tree here. Right there, I've got my my right flank supported by a guy, and then over there we got Hayden in the center, and that is turn 1 for Macedonia.
How'd they perform?
Okay, so I can't move this turn on my turn 2 because I rolled a 10. So I am actually kind of just stuck right where I'm at here,
We're gonna try to come online.
as you can see.
That means I have a follow me, you move, I clearly.
And that's where I'm at. This is all the movement they had from the Romans. They have maintained their positions all the way across the board. So this is a picture after the turn 1 of my extreme right. He had an order to move 6 inches. He didn't take the 6-inch move at all. So I was just kind of, I had already made it to the river. I got 2 moves on my first turn to move up. So everything that I had surged forward as far as it could. Cavalry in this game moves 9 inches, so I had a unit move 18 inches to go and join them in this on my extreme left, because I would want my hoplites on that side to be supported by it. So everything that I had pretty much moved up to the river. So on our turn 2, this is what our center looks like. It's just going down the lines. It's going to be, they're still moving here, and this is what our extreme right flank is shaping up to be, with the skirmishers up front there to try to drive a gap into those Canadian cavalry.
Oh, these guys here, one moved.
So to wrap up the first fight here, he gave ground in good order to rally with supports after taking 5 damage from the Roman cavalry. And that's the entire turn for so at the end of a Macedonian turn, this was our 3, right?
That was the end of your turn.
At the end of our 3, we made this unit run away and dealt them for 5 damage, and they retreated in good order, but they are disordered. We supported them with the light infantry right there, as you can see, and we had a successful run there. We rallied this unit of peltists, and we're just going to go down the lines. So going down the lines, I'm still here,
There's no negative.
and
as many moves as he rolls.
Right, does that sound good?
basically all I can do. We've moved up in the center, as you can
You are
see.
to charge.
Hayden's over
3
there,
moves away, you gotta move. And you roll.
and here we go. This is Romans turn 3. They're actually finally doing something, coming down off the hill.
Those 2 jokers are gonna get sent.
And there are these guys over there. Hopefully we see some fights on the extreme right flank pretty soon. So this is a quick snapshot of the left of where I'm at. This is the extreme left. This is the edge of the board. And what I was hoping for was a breakthrough from the Thracians so that we could sweep to my right like a wheel, kind of like the Schlieffen plan. You just keep the right, you keep the left strong, and then you sweep like a wheel to the right. But unfortunately, he had elephants, so he didn't want to get too close, and then the cavalry came up, dealt him for a blow, but it would be going back and forth over on this flank for quite a while. Here's what the Romans looked like after their turn 3, only moving on my right
So 3
flank.
inches off, 15.
And then that's it. So over on my side of the table, we made the cavalry retreat over there by shooting at them with archers and slingers. The Peltis moved all the way over there, threw a javelin at the puppies, and forced a retreat from the, and forced them to retreat by trying to charge them as well. So that's everything that we've done on my side of the table. The archers also shot at the puppies and did them for 1. And that was Macedonians, my turn 3, because I'm on the left-hand flank here. So we got our first big fight here. And did the Numidians charge?
So you saved 2, so you inflicted 4. Okay, so it's very close.
Very.
However,
We still gotta do the other side.
No, we got support.
no,
we do one
Oh, one at a time,
We got
okay.
supports.
Ports
So-
are fighting.
so that doesn't matter in this. The supports actually fight in
Okay.
Hail Caesar.
Okay.
So, Arb inflicted 5, Alan inflicted 4. Who do you think won?
Alan did. I did.
Art?
Good
Try-
answer.
That's
try
why
again.
it's not democracy.
Try again.
Okay, so you won by 1.
Right.
Okay, so Alan, you have to take a break test with a -1. You want to roll high.
Roll high.
Ones.
Well, that's a pretty good
That's
one.
good.
That's pretty good.
So it's
That's
a
pretty good
-1.
on a 9, as you can
Give
see.
round together
And this
with
is what it looks like
Oh,
after
cavalry.
Macedonians turn 3.
5.
Just going to pan out here a little
So
bit.
you're in hand.
On the extreme right flank of the battle. And you can see how big this
Get
table
around in
is.
good order together with supports.
So we just fall down.
So you're going to fall back.
How far?
However, because you took 5 hits, you look at your stamina.
Uh-oh.
Your stamina is 4.
Ooh.
So you're going to go down to 4, but you're now shaken. The unit in front.
So we have got the Romans
and
on the
your
run a
extra
little
hit
bit.
Goes on.
So
So
in
you
Romans
take
turn
5.
3, the Macedonian cavalry has
Alan,
continued to push back the Numidians
Now you're gonna fight
effortlessly.
back.
Down here, leave Craig
Yes.
down there.
And that's actually
Alan's
pretty
getting
good
slaughtered,
because
so it's time
we
to
want
go.
to try to turn the flank on the
everybody
Yellow
else.
Legion
Guys,
here.
support or not.
Why did you have to leave?
So I'm back at a still photograph. This is a picture of the right-hand side, just to the left of where the cavalry was on the extreme right flank. And this is about as far as the hoplites on this side of the table would get. There was a lot of times, it seemed like only the skirmishers of the Romans were willing to come out, and it seemed like only the skirmishers of the Greeks were willing to come out. I think that we needed to be more aggressive on both sides. That would have been made for a more interesting game. So for the first 2 turns, the Romans not doing anything until their turn 3, I think, kind of hindered the game a little bit because I was just wanting something to happen in the center with those phalangite units. But you had a lot of units on both sides that did diddly squat. On the extreme
Well,
right flank, we had 2
according
units break from shooting.
To the modifiers,
Away from the front there,
neither
from the
of you are
Roman
charging
skirmishers,
now, right?
throwing
So
javelins.
you use sustain.
And then we're going into this cavalry combat
He
here.
won, so he'll get a +1.
Come on.
I
We
still
got
say
2.
No, 2.
Okay, so 5. So that looks like a tie.
Now we get to do a
Okay.
tie.
On wounds,
So-
but not on results.
So neither of you. The thing with a draw is if you start shaken, you have to take a break test. Neither of you started shaken. You're both going to be shaken now. Okay, so 5. Yeah, Steve's got it right.
And
So-
both units are
so
now
they already
shaken
had
right
one,
here, the white
so they
capes
took- they took
versus
3,
the
and then you took 2
Numidians
there.
right there. So the blue cavalry unit right there just got destroyed by the green cavalry unit up front. We're still holding in reserve
When you hit
this
double,
unit here and that unit there. That unit can't charge us this turn.
What bleeds over?
And
and this one's going to have to take a break
3 and
test.
4.
and then the red guys behind them are going to have to take a break test, and that was.
Command group.
And then the red unit ran away with them.
So what that means are
So I know I'm not reporting much on my side of the table right now. This is just where most of the fighting is happening first. You had both cavalry right across from one another, and right now the Macedonians are really giving it to the Romans. Roman cavalry in this game is garbage. Actually, I'm going to say that it's not as good as it could have been, but compared to the Macedonian companions, they just don't have any chance because that's some of the best cavalry in the game, next to cataphracti with the Canto spears. So basically, yeah, this whole one side of Roman cavalry got steamrolled on Greeks 3 and Romans 4. Basically, turns 3 and 4 the Roman cavalry tried to fight, and they made a good effort, but they just basically the Greeks dealt out backbreakers and fucked up everybody's day. There was nothing they could do. So we actually are getting leeway, and I'm really just trying to capture this one side right now because this is where the fighting's going on, because nothing's really occurring on my side of the table yet. So we got rid of the other unit of cavalry and the commander, but now all 4 units of these cavalry are spent. And we're going to go into Macedonians and see what we can do.
We're going to send in the elephants and teach you a thing or two.
They're all the way over there!
Oh, they'll move fast.
Okay.
You have airlift.
So over here
what's your
on
say?
my left, I'm on the left-hand side of the table. We've bloodied the elephants each for a point of damage.
roll 2 dice
We
for
got
6.
closer, as you can see, with the
No. So,
center of our lines there.
inflicted 3.
And just going down the lines, we're as so.
inflicted 3.
We actually got the orders to move this time.
Now, did you roll 3 saves?
The Roman cavalry have showed up,
Yeah. So
and they have still yet to make a huge advance towards us.
There we go.
And I seem to be leading the way.
Okay, so in this particular
On this side.
melee,
Everybody has low orders, so we've only really made it to the river for the entire center of the Macedonian lines here.
So 6 inches
you go
back.
back 6,
Keep going down.
and you're still fine. You just have 3
And this is kind of where we stopped.
blacks on you.
Legions are coming
2
out.
blacks on you. 7 minus 1 is 6.
Is
Fall back in good order.
infantry yeah. So like the other one.
Yeah, so back kind of.
So the skirmishers are fighting in the middle on the extreme right-hand side of the
Light
table.
infantry.
Not skirmishers.
Oh, the light infantry are
Otherwise it'd
engaging,
been worse.
or they do worse.
We switch it back.
Cavalry is
Okay.
unable to move.
So Arb, you've got 1 option for a sweeping advance if you want it.
Did he eliminate 1 unit there?
And that unit right there,
Those are skirmishers.
They are.
Yeah, well, they're not cavalry.
they proceeded to fall back.
So technically, if yours
Did
are
you destroy
4 light
1 unit?
infantry, he can't charge you.
Right.
I thought they were light infantry.
And this is the right flank so far.
His are in. So you have 2 saves.
So right here, he's destroyed this unit with the javelin hurlers.
Okay.
These guys
So Arb
retreated.
takes another casualty.
These guys retreated in good order, and we stood up to the elephant there, and
speed 1 by 1.
that one's still wounded, so
So
this
you
is what's
take a
happening on my
pretext
flank
-1 here.
so far,
Marv, I hate to curse you, but
and hopefully the Macedonians can get into these
No, he
Romans.
doesn't. No, he doesn't.
So a little bit of luck, we took out some more Roman skirmishers on the extreme right flank.
light infantry.
Light. It's light infantry.
Narrative writer, don't do a narrative.
I'm going to do the narrative. They're the
Okay,
skirmishers
now-
now, and they just had
Your light
backbreakers
infantry
hit city.
charging.
There you go.
You get 3 dice
right.
for 3s, and Arb will have 3 dice for 4s.
And this is just kind of where we're at. So a lot happened on my Macedonian turn here. Romans are about to take their turn. We killed an elephant. We killed a unit of Roman cavalry. Got them to retreat. We're locked in combat, as you can see.
Under your ears.
Okay,
Or other body parts.
elephants,
Guys and slam into the.
going that way.
And he's going to slam into me.
You can do it.
Initiative move, yes?
Got it.
They got one
And he's using initiative.
So that's 1 elephant. So
One
then you
elephant.
can give, or you could give them a group order. as a part of the-
So this is just where it's starting for the Romans here.
Okay.
Not a lot to report yet on my flank. I'll have to go over to the right side to see what's going on, but I've almost swept the wheel that I wanted.
Yes, they are. All holding each other's tails, right?
So one big.
Ever since I took command of the Thracians, we're trying to get around the extreme right-hand side of the Roman lines here. So right here, I'm still kind of holding my ground against the Romans. I haven't lost anybody yet, taking lots of
weapons, they're still
taking casualties and dishing it back out as best I can.
guys with lots of armor.
So hopefully we can get through these red guys and chew them up. But I don't think we'll get through the Yellow Legion here. So that's where we're at on my side of the board. I apologize, I can't show you what's going on the other side of the table. Right about here, I really thought the Macedonian cavalry would have it. That's just a still photo of the extreme right flank, and we're in the later turns of like 5 and 6, going into 7 and everything, and this is just the resilience of the Macedonian cavalry is really coming through here because they started to just grind on everything that they touched.
Well, wait a second.
Over here, we're actually getting some leeway. The cavalry are still alive, still fighting, and grinding up a legion.
That into account when you fought, right?
And so that's actually pretty good. We need to get these hoplites across the river
No,
now.
you have to talk to her.
And
Just a second. Okay.
Blows
They're
things
just
up.
taking a
That's
break.
just a really good picture of the side and the
What's the
scale of this table
Have
here.
these.
Anyway,
Okay.
Those the
Supports.
phalanx, can they
Or my
support
black
the...
ice.
So the Thracians got killed by
Okay,
the
so
elephant,
you
but the
lost
elephant's
by
broken
one,
now,
so
right?
Roll your die.
6 wounds.
6 wounds. It's just got 4 wounds on it. And so hopefully the Thracians can turn the side on these Romans and we can start wheeling towards the center, which was my original plan.
Cannot
And
support
I'm
skirmish.
just hoping for it.
Appreciate it. It's got the play.
So normally we.
So here we are at the end of Macedonian's turn.
Because your division's
It's going to go back to Rome here. We're kind of holding it. We're not completely outflanked on this side by the yellows yet, so I'm still hoping to turn the wheel.
find it.
But I'm running out of steam and I'm running out of it quick. I can only perform so many miracles. Thank you, Hayden.
So this is me against the world right now. This is a still photograph of what's happening on my flank when I actually start to engage the enemy. I'm killing all of their skirmishers. I mean, I'm blowing up these units at two at a time. So one unit of hoplites is hitting the skirmishers, and the skirmishers in support are even blowing up right now. One of the things that's really getting to me is that my right side of what's just past my 2 divisions hasn't really moved. And so I'm engaging the enemy alone here. I mean, I'm not afraid to do this. This is why I wish that the Romans had moved down, because then at least my right side, where Hayden and this other guy were with the green phalangites, they actually could have moved in to engage one another faster. The Romans sitting there for 3 turns and not doing anything kind of just, I think, slowed the game down. I really wanted to see a bigger clash in that center, but it didn't go down that way. So basically I'm engaging everything I've got on the left hand side of the table. The Thracians are still kind of hanging around, but one elephant is just dishing out backbreakers and fucking up everyone's day. So that's kind of how it goes with elephants sometime. I mean, when I engaged the first elephant, I rolled amazing. I didn't get scared. I didn't take a disorder test, and then I was even hitting the damn thing on 5s. I still dealt it 4 damage, and then then it broke from combat because I think they rolled a 3 to try and save the elephant. And when you roll low in this game for leadership, you explode. So I'm still hopeful at this point that we can sweep into the Romans' side, because if I got the Thracians right in position right now, we would be working our way down, and I don't know. It's just not coming to fruition right now.
So the Thracians have kind of retreated on my left-hand side here. Going up, we're hoping to go into our turn strong by charging that cavalry regiment and double charging that regiment right here. Still going over here. This unit's almost gone. I got 1 spent unit of hoplites over there, and I've got to make something happen here to start facing this way, because I'm running out of guys, and I'm running out of guys really quick now. So we're actually starting to look pretty good at the end of turn 7 for Macedonia.
Hand combat to do over here.
Still waiting for this massive combat to start with the phalangites into the near center, but the right hand side is actually looking pretty good.
These guys are going to fire right there.
The Romans still have so many more
So
guys.
they have 3 dice.
And these,
So this is where the world ends. Nighttime has fallen on the battlefield. The Romans have called it a day. The Greeks have called it a day. Peltus did nothing, even though I painted them today. There you go.
Well, invariably, the newest thing always has to fail you.
The newest thing didn't do anything. It just evaded and drew you guys in. And then
only if you.
up over here, even though we bloodied the nose of 1 legion and took out a cavalry division, we still had 1 more legion to contend with, and it didn't look like these green guys were going to do anything anytime soon to come in and bail us out. So that's where the world ends. And as you can see, it's a huge battlefield, multitudes of miniatures to look at. I couldn't even capture it all.
So this is to kind of wrap up. This is another still photo of one part of my table. That Red Legion right next to my blue crested dudes right there, they would have actually taken a charge because it was going back to our turn. And if I had done that in turn, I would have been able to charge them, destroy them and the supports, hopefully, because they had already taken a lot of damage. They had already fled. And then I actually had some charges lined up for that turn. I would have destroyed a ton of Roman units, but then after that, on the next Roman turn, I in turn would have been destroyed utterly because I was just out of steam by this point. So it was really fun to engage the Roman legions. It was fun to engage and then actually do a lot of damage and not get destroyed in return for it, despite the fact that I only had one unit of those phalangites on my right. They actually got up into the yellow, and that's why we were able to hold it for so long on that side to keep the yellow from sweeping into us. But definitely I wish that the Greeks on my right, from where the green guys were to where Hayden was, had actually advanced, because Hayden advanced forward and somehow he lost one entire unit to skirmishers, which is just bad luck. Oh God, it's just hard when you're Hayden. Sometimes you usually roll like a boss if you're Hayden. You're rolling like Hayden, but no. This photo right here is about where he got to with one unit of his hoplites. Has just passed where some of his guys were, and there's a gap where his guys used to be. He only lost one big regiment of hoplites. He still had two more, but his skirmishers weren't kicking around either. So this is the final still of this video. This is about where I was. I don't think I would have been completely destroyed in the Romans' next turn, after my turn. I think what would have happened was I would have lost one half of both divisions. So I would have been at the point where my divisions would have probably had to start taking break tests at the beginning of every turn, but I think I might have been at 50%, so I wouldn't have had to take those break tests. What I was hoping was that the cavalry would have destroyed the cavalry division up there in the top left of the screen here, and then the two units next to the cavalry, the two hoplite units, would have started to swing into what was left of the red legion, because those guys right there that were fighting the hoplites weren't going to last that much longer, because I was actually winning or I was drawing combat, which I'll take all day, every day. And then the Peltists would have come up to support that combat, and then maybe would have actually destroyed the reds and bloodied the nose of the yellows before getting destroyed. And there you have it, Internet. The Battle of Pydna. That was an amazing game. I'm sorry I wasn't able to keep track of the turns as well as I should have. All I was able to do was go from one side of the table to the other side of the table and report what was going on, because it was only on my side and on the extreme right flank that anything occurred. And those Macedonian cavalry, I gotta hand it to them on the extreme right flank. If they hadn't ground up everything that they touched, the way that they did, it would have been a victory for the Romans. This game ended in a draw. And thank you for watching. As you know, YouTube has many features you can use to interact with me. You can like the video, dislike the video, comment, or subscribe. But until then, keep fighting, keep playing, and stay metal, my friends. And most of these miniatures, I'd have to say that 75% of those miniatures on the Roman side were owned by one guy, and they were individually painted by that one hardcore dude. Basically, yeah, he painted up a lot, and that's the beauty of historics. I'm just going to talk briefly here about historic wargaming. When you paint up something in historics, it's relatively easier than it is in 40k or Warhammer Fantasy, because every guy is generically across the board the same. Not to mention, it's roughly $1 a guy. If you want to save your ass from Games Workshop pricing, and Games Workshop games, or even privateer pricing, doesn't even come close to the pricing on historic games. I can get like probably an entire Roman army for about $100. I mean, that's a steal in my opinion. It's crazy cheap to do historics, and it's good fun to do historics. Some of my opening advice, if you're going to get into historics, choose 3 eras. So, do ancients or do medieval, do black powder or high Renaissance, which is basically that's the pike and shot system, is high Renaissance. Pike and shot is just before black powder. So you have Hail Caesar, which goes from biblical to high Middle Ages. High Middle Ages is pike and shot to the high Renaissance, all the way up to the 1700s when everybody started to do rank and file musket battles, and that's black powder. And then after black powder, you get bolt action. My advice, if you're interested in warlord games or historic battles, I'd say start with bolt action. Bolt action is the system was written by the same guy who wrote Kings of War, Lisso Calvatore, and basically it's a very even system. It's not like 40K at all, but you can buy a lot of toys. On the cheap. You can get Sherman tanks, I think 3 of them, for like $50, and then you can get like a box of soldiers for $100, and you have an opening 600-point platoon almost with just what I mentioned there. So $200 in, you've got a full platoon. Or I think you can spend $120 because they have 1,500-point box sets now that are usually a grab and steal, because you can just go on eBay and buy those for $120, and you're already getting your MSRP right there. So bolt action is a real good place to start. Another good place to start is Hail Caesar. It's just that you got to line it up with your friends. What era you're going to play, you know? So either keep it ancients, keep it medieval, or somewhere. But I would keep it out of like I would keep it out of the Bronze Age. Keep everything in the Iron Age for your ancient battles. That way you can use a lot more of the Roman stuff and the Greek stuff, and then the Egyptians come into play there because you could just arm them with iron weapons and everything. So that's my advice on ancients. Medieval stuff, they have a lot of Norman miniatures out, so you go to the 1000s with Battle of Hastings or everything, but everybody like medieval armor and everything, you can do a lot of that stuff. It's very interchangeable. The only and you don't really have to worry about it too much, but there's a lot of good medieval stuff out there. Conquest Games puts out these Norman Knights. I had a kit of those. You get 12 for a box for like $30. 12 knights for $30. That's a grab. I mean, you can even use the old Bretonnian Knights if you're going to do the French at Agincourt. I mean, they look really good, but they're slightly bigger than the 28s. So that's something to watch out for. And plus, when you're painting at 28 millimeter, it's way easier because every guy's the same. They don't have skulls and ambiguous jewelry everywhere. I mean, have you ever painted a skink priest? It's like a marathon of little details all over the one skink priest. You don't have stuff like that in historic. So it's basically you're painting night goblins and everybody's the same, and you can get a lot of these guys relatively quickly, relatively easily. Same with bolt action. You buy a box of plastic soldiers and everybody's the same olive green, and then you get some flesh and some wood and some steel bits in there, and then you wash all that with the army painter wash. It's just good, clean fun, and it's cheap. So that's all I'm going to say about historics as a whole. If you're thinking about getting into historic gaming, I highly recommend it. Collect both sides, and then you can ensnare your friends. So get a platoon of Japanese, get a platoon of Marines, because you don't need a lot to play in bolt action at all. And then there's Napoleonics, of course. Napoleonics is probably the oldest of the war games in and of itself, simply because you go back 25 years ago, Fantasy Battle was just coming out, but they had Napoleonics. They were already, I think there were model kits that you could buy that actually looked really good. I think there were 156, there's actually 28 millimeter. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. 156 scale is 28 millimeter, and they were making a lot of solid kits for Napoleonics. There are several modeling companies out there. So 25 years ago, if you wanted to play a game on the tabletop, it was either early Fantasy Games Workshop Fantasy Battle, or it was Napoleonics, or Ancients. But I'm digressing at this point. So stay metal, my friends, and keep kicking ass and taking names.